This is Handsome Dick Manitoba, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking Podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Isn't it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Antita, and with me in Dogbowl Studio is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Big Strix Vinyl Records and Sports Cards, located in Rock Island, Illinois. New, vintage, and previously owned. You can find it at Big Strix. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music. For our intro and bumper ending, tonight's guest is
Handsome Dick Manitoba,
formerly of the Dictators
and Manitoba's Wild Kingdom.
Yeah, he's got a upcoming EP coming out, correct?
Back on Broadway.
Yeah. Good interview. Let's get right to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Hunting.
Handsome Dick, welcome.
Hey,
thank you for joining us.
Where you're in Illinois?
Yeah, we're about 3 hours west of Chicago.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, lucky us.
Go Cubbies.
Yeah.
Go Cubbies.
It all depends on the week.
You know, I interviewed Tommy Morello he's a buddy of mine, and he's a Cubs fan. He came up in Chicago.
Yes, yes, he did. Yeah, fantastic. So let's get right into it. You recently returned from a European tour. Talk a little bit more about the blueprint of this tour and places you performed.
Well, we're looking around the world, like, you know, my name and the Dictators. I mean, it was never that big. It was kind of influential to a certain degree. And a little hot for a bunch of years, but you're talking 30, 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I noticed, like, even my hardcore friends, they put records out, they tour. They put records out, they tour. That's the only way to make money is you're preaching to your fans, and you have fans, and they want to see you. With us, it's like, you know, I'm just going out there with a name that belonged to a band 40 years ago. And it's difficult. It's difficult because what we do is just look around like, hey, we make phone calls. We have great people working for us, like, you know, helping us more than working for us. And you know, like you get in touch with certain promoters. It's like anything else. You figure out a budget. You figure out who wants to give you what, how many shows, how much is this going to cost, that going to cost, what's left over. Do you want to go for that much money? If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. So, you know, we got a bunch of shows in Spain, and we always did well in Spain. That was the Dictator, like, centerpiece of the world. And then I made friends with a guy. I've turned into Chuck Berry. I go around the world because I can't afford to take bands from California. That's like my main band, but I can't afford to take them for, like, you know, $6,000 to start a tour. That's not going to make that much money. So I found these guys, and we rehearsed long distance, and they're from Germany, and so we went to Norway and Sweden, and then that was that. Then I came home, and I have a friend in Toronto who always takes care of me, gets me up in Canada, and there's a great band up there that I play with. So that's what I'm doing so far. We're always looking and searching and asking. And basically, I just want to go. I want to travel. I want to play music. I want to have a good time, make people happy. So one thing we've been doing is really making people happy, whether it's well attended, moderately attended, or poorly attended. People are happy. People are happy they came. They have a good time. And you know what? That's all I could do. All I could do is as Sammy Davis Jr. said, I gotta be me. I gotta be me. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the story with those things.
Tell us a little bit more about these guys you found from Germany. Can you talk a little bit about how you found them and maybe your live shows?
Well, my friend Michael, who's the bass player in my California band, it's really weird. A friend of mine from Philadelphia said, I want to start a podcast. So call my friend Michael. Michael has been doing a podcast since like 2002. He's in the Podcast Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And Michael and I talked because I'm so bad at like which wire do you plug into which machine? Now what do I do? And I wound up doing about 15 or 20 shows, and then I got sick of it. No offense, talking into a phone, and I feel like I'm too visual of a person to just talk into a phone. So I just getting in touch with the company now, and I got to figure out how to get started with them where I could do something with a screen. So Michael and I literally spoke 300 times in about 3 years over the phone and became really close. And then he got a bunch of guys together. We had always talked about it would be great to play. And I became really good friends. So he's friends with this guy in Germany, Sven. And I was writing a song called Deloise Nation. And then the B-side, we put an EP out. The other side was Back on Broadway. Yeah. Back on Broadway and Deloise Nation. So I had sent some stuff at the behest of Michael to Sven. And Sven came up with this verse of this chorus. And see, I'm fairly new at writing. I've only been writing a bunch of years, and I don't write that much. So I don't have an ego. My ego is like, what's the best? What's the best for the song? It's not like, no, well, I want my chorus in there. This guy came up with a fucking amazing chorus. I said, that's better than my chorus. And we used it. So we wrote a couple of songs together. And they came out great. I mean, I think they're great songs. What they're about is great. They're funny and full of personality. And so then I got to be friends with him that way. And he's got a band, and so on and so on. I got my friend who hooked us up in Canada. He put a band together for me, and all these guys, I never heard of them, but they were from pretty well-known bands and professional musicians. And the thing I obviously like playing with them more than the Dictators as these days is the Dictators wound up, throwing me under the bus, treating me like shit, and deciding I'm no good for the music, and blah, blah, blah. And then everybody basically sucks Andy's dick when Andy rings the bell and says, all right, everybody, gather around, suck my dick. And it's like, okay, because one of the great things about getting older is I don't give a shit anymore. I don't care about him. I don't care about Ross. You know who I care about? People who I have fun with, who treat me with dignity and kindness and appreciate who I am and what I do. That's it. Who doesn't like that? I like that. I wasn't getting that with the other band. So now I'm Chuck Berry. I go all around the world. Like Chuck Berry used to show up in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yes.
The guy would say, what are we doing tonight? And he goes, Chuck Berry songs.
Well, when it comes to a Handsome Dick Manitoba live show, can you give our listeners an insight of putting a set list together?
Well, I always start with first song. We have this song we start with now, which is on Manitoba's Wild Kingdom. It's really fierce. And I said, let's start with that because nobody expects that. Everybody expects something like, they sing along or something. Yeah. I said, let's start with this. And it's fierce and it's manly. And then I'll do we do a few songs in a row. I have sort of an MO, let's do a few songs in a row. And then what am I going to say here? which places am I going to talk more? Which places am I just say a couple of lines? I've overdone it many times, but a lot of the audience is older, and a lot of them don't hate it. Sometimes they think they're going to hate it, but they like it because they laugh. It's interactive with the audience. They're part of it. They laugh. It's like sort of like a little bit of a comedy act in the middle of cracking jokes and making fun of the audience, and they love it. They love being part of it. And, I break down that barrier. And so we'll do those 3 songs like a break when I talk, like 2 songs a break when I talk, 3 songs like that, stuff like that. And it's what I call the connective tissue in a set. It's got to be, I'm really sensitive to like, if I finish saying something, you got to start it like immediately. When there's a 3 or 4 second delay, I turn around, I look at the drummer or I look at whoever's supposed to start the song, and I go, that wasn't good. If I finish going like, and that's the story with Kiss, ladies and gentlemen, down like that. It can't be, that's the story with Kiss, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you lost it. You lost it. So that connective tissue is actually a part of the set. It's a part of the set. It's part of the music. It's part of the continuity. It's part of the feel. So that's what we put. I like a set with a musical set with little snippets of a few lines and a little bit of time to talk to the audience or crack jokes. I like all of that stuff. That's what I tell people. I'm a singer, but I'm an entertainer.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I think audiences like that too. Can you talk a little bit about your approach to interacting with the fans, like outside of the live set? Like, do you do meet and greets, or do you stick around after the show and walk back out into the crowd? How does it work for you?
My big joke is, hey, everybody, I'm going to be right over at the merch table. We're sort of a little low on gas money, and if you could come over and buy anything, we would really appreciate it. And they always laugh. Same joke. And I go right to the merch table, and I sit there until there's nobody left at the merch table. And that's what we do. It's like I really leave it all on the field, as they say. I give it everything I got, and what's nice is even if it's not well attended, the bunch of people that do come, they came. They worked all week. They went to a bar. They had a few drinks. They wanted to see a concert. They had a good time. They liked the music. They laughed. They go buy a little something. I'm going to give them my time and my energy, and I'm going to continue doing a show with them and talking to them and giving them as much time as I can. It's a big difference between what I get and what a lot of people get. Like, good show, man. This is not good show, man. This is like guys looking at me in the eye going, man, that was fucking great. I really enjoyed it. Had a great time. People had a great time. And like, people don't know me. Believe it or not, people don't know me as a humble man. But I do have a line of humility running through my veins. And what that is at 71 years old, I'm so grateful that I'm alive, and I'm watching my son become a really, really good United States Marine, and that I'm so grateful that I can still go out and do that on a real good level, and like, I know this sounds corny, but I really mean this. I really mean this. Give people joy. What a gift I've been given. If 10 people in the audience, or 100 people, or 500 people, I'm giving people fun and joy. What kind of fucking gift is that? It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Ridiculously great. That's all I meant to say.
Well, your upcoming EP, Back on Broadway, is on pre-order right now. Can you give our listeners an insight to when the EP is going to be released, and talk a little bit more about the creative process behind this new upcoming music?
Well, I didn't write the Dictator songs. Andy did. One of the guys in his organization makes fun of me because he goes, I'm an Andy cover band. And I think it's just hysterical because I sang those songs. Sandy Perlman and Murray Krugman, who managed Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah. Right.
After Andy headlined, it was the lead singer, it wasn't happening. Now, look, this is not even mean-spirited. I can be really mean-spirited toward Andy for what he said to me. I'm not gonna be that. I'm gonna say that, this was a natural thing that evolved. And it didn't evolve by accident. It evolved because it was the right thing to do. It was what was going to make the band better. Like nobody cared about Andy in the front of the band. They cared about his songwriting. You know, he's an okay bass player and an okay singer. You know, he hits the notes and he writes good songs. That's what they care about. So everyone should go into their place and do their job for what they do well. And I think he's always just really hated the fact that, you know, I turned into who I turned into. But the point is, how can I be a cover band when I was the lead singer of these songs, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows? And, you know, I have every right to do those songs. And, I mean, I brought them to life. You look at his new lead singer. I mean, he's a nice kid. Dude, I know him from the Bronx. He's from the, you know, they have housing projects. You have them in Chicago and shit, right?
Oh, of course.
I grew up in a housing project called Gun Hill Road.
Yeah.
He came from the next one called Parkside, which happened to have a great writer, actually, Richard Price, who wrote The Wire. Richard Price was from Parkside. And he was from the next project. And me and him up at Sirius Radio, we got along great. We laughed, Bronx. We laughed. His older brother was in my goddamn kindergarten class. But you know what? He's a good guitar player. Again, he's a good singer. He hits the notes. But everybody has been coming to me, telling me, yeah, but he's just, you know, like, it's almost like, who cares? Could be at a Holiday Inn on a Saturday night, you know? You know, and I'll always do what I did. And I never really got appreciated but I got appreciated by fans and by people, but not by the inner circle. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. So what was the first question? How did we get?
Go into a little bit more detail about, you know, getting in there and recording those songs and making them yours.
Yeah. Well, I come up with the lyrics. I don't play an instrument, so it's not my music. People chip in to the music. And you know, we fix it, we change it, we move it around, we add, we subtract. This story of I don't know if you want the story of back on Broadway, but like most things in my life, it's taken from professional wrestling because there was a tag team in the 70s called the Valiant Brothers, my heroes, and I got my name from one of them, Handsome Jimmy Valiant.
Yes,
and they used to come, you know, on stage like bopping their heads, like, "Oh, yo, baby, we back in town, we back on Broadway." Boom! I take that and I run with it. 40 years later, I'm using it. And back on Broadway is the Handsome Dick Manitoba Phoenix rising from the ashes. That year of 2018 was my son's mother had been fooling around with this guy in California, and I knew it. And she'd been fooling around with everybody, actually. And I knew that, too. The only reason I didn't leave is because I love my son so much. I said, fuck it, I'll deal with it. But then it got to the point where he exploded. So then, little Steven, I drew... All right, this girl had this here we go. This girl had this desk emblazoned with everything Palestine. And I took a marker, you know, a marker that you could smudge with your, you know, your highlighter. You could smudge it with your finger. On the very corner of her desk, like 3 feet away from where she had all the stuff, I drew a little Star of David. So they said they saw me do it. And well, what's it called? HR? Is that what it's called in a company? Yeah. HR? Yeah. So these scumbags at Sirius decided, they called me up 3 days later. Now, I worked for Sirius Satellite Radio for 14 years. For Little Steven's Underground Garage. I missed one show in 14 years. One show. I don't know any human being that can make that statement. I missed one day of work in 14 years. And the only reason, this is what life is. A lot of it, so much is luck. The bathroom was on the 36th floor, and they were fixing the bathrooms. So I had to go up to the 37th floor with this woman's desk. I would never be on the 37th floor. But at that moment, I did the wrong thing. My son said, "Don't do it, Dad. There's cameras all over." And I said, like, I have to bring up a son. I said, I'll go to the woman, tell her, listen, I apologize. You're safe here. You do whatever you want. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Maybe years ago, they would forgive me. In this world, in this day and age, no. So they said to me, it's not her problem that you have to raise a child. This is what they said to me at HR in Sirius. It's not her problem. So Steven had gone to the big shots at Sirius. The president of the company is the godfather of his children. And he said, Richie, you know, I know Steve, this is the bad thing. I know Steve 40 years since they were making Darkness on the Edge of Town. We were making Blood Brothers, the same studio. We became really close, the East Street Band and Dictators. And Steve said, I can't get you out of it. So my ex, who loved me, didn't love me, loved me, didn't love me, she went up to him and said, seriously, he goes, I'm sorry. He fucked up. Can't help him. The next thing I know, that was the highest paying job I ever had by far, 14 years in a row. Next thing I know, I had my Manitoba's bar. And things were falling apart there. He decided to pull out. He had helped me stay alive with some money, and he decided to pull out. So now I had no way of making a living. I had nothing. And then, as is my nature, it's like at first I'll cry and feel sorry for myself, and then I'm like, dust myself off. That's the phoenix rising from the ashes. And like, fuck this. If this is the hand I'm dealt, like Steven, after a few years, should have forgiven me. He doesn't forgive. Steven Van Zandt doesn't forgive. If you screwed up, even after 40 years of earning, good guy badges, if you have one bad guy badge, you're done forever. And I even got a hold of him via email, and he just ignored me. And that's when I said, you know what, Richard, to myself, Richard, I said, Richard, I said, he is not, you want him to be someone that he's not. That's not who he is. He's not a forgiving guy. He's not. He that's who Steven is. So accept it and move on. And I did. And I found out that that I have a lot of good shit to give. A lot of people responded to me, and that's how I got together with all these different people. And you ask them, there's 25 different musicians. If probably 23 of them would say, I had a great time, except this one knucklehead. He quit the band because he was a real left winger, and there were these, I don't know why, there were these huge pictures in Europe on the side of the wall of a gig of Jane Fonda. So I started yelling, Hanoi Jane, Hanoi Jane. And he freaked out and he quit the band for that. He should fucking stood on top of North Vietnamese tanks, right?
Yep.
That's how she got known as Hanoi Jane. And not only that, Look at the fucking war. It's a horrible war. I was there. I had a draft card. I was there. I didn't want to go. I thought it was a horrible war. That's the only good war was World War II. Okay? But did they realize, if they cared about human beings, that the minute the United States pulled out, which, wasn't a bad thing in and of itself, but did they realize 300,000 or 400,000 South Vietnamese were slaughtered, like, immediately?
Yep.
Like, they don't realize that. Maybe they don't care about those 300,000 or 400,000 lives, but that all that shit went on 2018, and I picked myself up and got back in the race, as Frankie said. I just I can't quit. I'm still alive. I gotta have fun. Gotta enjoy myself. Still have the gift of life.
Absolutely.
Well, in 2019, you came out swinging with "Born in the Bronx" on Liberation Records. Can you talk a little bit about maybe the making of that album?
Yeah, I made it with this guy, John Tiven, who I've known for decades. And, it's a lot of things went wrong. Like when they found out that I was, well, first of all, I lost the bar. And big thing is I lost a national radio show. Then I found out I was arrested for domestic violence. And here's the thing. Here's a lesson I learned. And you guys can take a page if you want. Here's a lesson I learned, okay? A bunch of stuff happened that day where I got picked up and arrested. The final thing was 3 months later, I was charged with something called disorderly conduct, which in New York is anywhere from screaming in a bar and not listening to the bartender and the cops come and give you $100 fine to having 3 parking tickets and not paying it. Disorderly conduct is not a crime. It's not a misdemeanor. It's not a crime at all. It's a violation where you pay a ticket. So that's what it was. But here's the way the world is. A lot of the world, okay? They don't care. You're guilty. And see, the truth is, if they knew what happened, if they knew how she smashed my kid's head against the door drunk at 6 a.m, if they knew how she smacked me across the face really hard, like 8 to 10 times, and I did this one little thing, like I bit her, not hard even, like I didn't draw blood, nothing. But the cops came and got me, and I went through 18 hours of bullshit. And here's the thing. That's the truth. And the truth can be the truth. And sometimes it doesn't matter because there are people who hate. And not only do they hate, but even if the truth happens and she did 10 times as much as I did, and I haven't even started with what she did, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is I probably got a good lawyer or I probably figured out a way to get out of it. In other words, no matter what, I did the worst. And even though I didn't do the worst, and even though it's not the truth, it doesn't matter because I hate and you probably figured out a way of doing the worst, a way out of it. And like my friend Toby Mamus, who manages Alice Cooper, said, I said, Toby, how come like I'm on page 3 in court being this evil character, and then 3 weeks later I'm on page 26 saying everything was exonerated, it's all good. And he said, it doesn't matter. People are going to believe what they want to believe anyway. So that's my long-winded story about that. But I'm sorry, I told you I get off on tangents. The album was with this guy. So I lost a record deal that he had set up for me in Memphis, in Nashville. He had set up a really nice record deal with me, and they dropped it because of all the bad things that happened to me in 2018. And we went on, in 3 days I made that record. I'd like to do it over again, make it like in a week or two. But, I hand out lyrics with the record when you buy the record at the concerts because I wrote the lyrics. I want people to see the lyrics. The lyrics are A to Z my life. I mean, I cover every subject, every general important subject in my life. I have a song about TV, loving TV. Yeah. I have a song about the great soul writer. This is a true story who blew his head off. He wrote, I know to you, I wish it would rain. He wrote, I wish it would rain. I could never love another after loving you for the Temptations. His wife wouldn't come back to him. He blew his head off. I wrote a song about Plan 9 from Outer Space, the worst movie ever made. Yes. I wrote a song about 3 different girls that I loved and fell in love with. And, it was everything. It was every single part of my life. I wrote a song about Gorgeous George, the first sort of real famous modern day wrestler. So I loved it. I loved it. I love those lyrics, and I'm sorry that it hasn't gotten out there more, but that's like that's a label that's not really going to push. They made this video with me for like $100 or whatever, $200, and I said, "Can we have a little party, just to celebrate the song in my own neighborhood in New York?" And Jesse Mallon's a good friend of mine. He said like he'll chip in for it, and he goes, "Oh, we don't even usually do videos, and we already did a video. There was a guy following me around the neighborhood, walking around, shooting me. Not like it wasn't worth anything, but I mean, $300 for a fucking record release party wouldn't have been bad. But that's it. I loved making that record, and I got to start getting more inspired. But I want to get my own podcast going soon, but I'm lazy.
That leads to the next question. So you have dabbled in podcasting and a YouTube channel. Some of our listeners might not have even known that. Can you talk a little bit more about those small experiences that you had that maybe that might expand to a later date sometime soon, hopefully? Well,
yeah. What I want to do, I did I guess you can still find it online. Michael said to me, like 15. It was really great people. I did interviews with Tom Morello, Lenny Kaye. I did it with my defense attorney. I can't, off the top of my head, comedian Drew Carey.
Yes.
And Drew Carey was really funny because I always started my show with Springtime for Hitler, and I'm a Jew. And he used to go, "How can you start your show with?" I said, "It was written by a Jew. It's Mel Brooks." So I start my show with Springtime for Hitler because I thought it was funny, And then I ended it with, if you're a fan of A Bronx Tale, there's this beautiful, stunning doo-wop song called "On the Streets of the Bronx." And I would always go to the guest, "Hey man, want to take a ride up the Bronx, get some pizza?" Like, "Yeah, let's go." And then I would go, and then you have to listen to the song "In the Streets of the Bronx." It's so beautiful and beautifully sung. And that was it for the record. I still think one day it's going to come out because my belief system is if you haven't heard a song, like there are songs I haven't heard in 40 years, never heard. And then I hear them and I go, "Oh shit, that's a great song. Hey, guess what? That's a new song."
Yeah.
It's 40 years old, but it's a new song to my ear. And I have a lot of new stuff like that. And it's great to keep discovering and rediscovering.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about you were a co-author with Amy Wallace on the official punk rock book of lists. Can you talk a little bit about that endeavor of putting together a book?
Well, it's okay. It's not really that much to talk about. People buy it. I say, listen, it's a great bathroom read.
Yeah.
You put it down in a part of your bathroom where it's dry, and it doesn't matter what page you pick it up from. It's not like you're cutting a story in half. You're telling somebody's top 10 list of something. So her father had a bestseller, New York Times bestseller, with the Book of Lists, the original Book of Lists. And her and I got together. She had put out some more books, Book of List type stuff, when we weren't together. She had passed away a few years ago, I think. And she was fun. She was easy to work with. And basically, it was not writing a book. It was making phone calls saying, hey, man, you want to give me a top 10 list of whatever you want? If you want me to help you, I'll give you an example. So, like when you finish a project, whether it be a book or record, there's somebody over you going, all right, I need that record in 2 days. All right, the editor, I need the book. Come on, I need the book. And you finish it. And I had 5 people on my desk that I was still waiting to call to add, but it's too late. The editor said, finish it by tomorrow. And that's the way it is. Like, you do a project, you do anything artistic, in a month, it would be different. In 6 months, it would be different. Yeah. That's why it's really interesting to put it this way, that when you hand it in, that's the stamp for eternity. That's it. Just because it could have been, of course it would have been different, because you're different and your mind is different and information is different. But my favorite story about the book, I wrote my 10 favorite wrestlers or something. My favorite story about the book was at the 11th hour and the 59th minute, Debbie Harry gets in touch with me. She's a buddy of mine. I love her. And I said, Deb, oh, really? You got your book? You got your list? What's your list? She goes, 10 people I'd like to fuck.
Nice.
And then I looked at it with anticipation. Hurriedly, I went down the list. And then the sadness hit me. I wasn't the top 10. But then my male ego jumped in and saved me. I probably would have been number 11.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You touched, you've already spoke about your time on Sirius XM, but 2005, you were voted best satellite DJ according to the Village Voice. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's what they said. I mean, listen, I really wish he didn't let me go. I got to be honest. I've had really, it's diluted, like a lot of pain in life. If you, as they say in AA, if you give time, things dilute. They don't necessarily go away, because that hurt really hurt. And I have nothing to do with that. That's what someone voted and said. But I loved the show. I loved knowing there's a national audience listening to me 5 nights a week, and I could crack my jokes, and I could, play the songs, and you did a little homework every night so you can have something to say about the music, not just talk, whatever you want to talk about. And then those people up there, I meant to say this. I don't want to really beat a dead horse, but I'll do a good job. That thing I did on the girl's desk, I just thought, her desk shouldn't. You might say, it's her family, it's her history, it's her life, and she can do what she wants. Okay, that's the point. It's like nobody should fucking have it. You have a minimal amount of stuff, and the thing that hurts me the most is realizing that I was an asshole and I did an asshole thing. That's what hurts me the most, is that it was undoable. I'd be fucking living a lot more comfortable right now, 5 years later, if I had that job. But that's what I mean. It's like there's no if. That's not the guy. He's not that guy. So, like I say, I'm alive. I'm blessed to be alive, and I'm blessed that I want to make the most of whatever days I have.
Absolutely. But the thing is that Village Voice is a big name.
Yeah.
You were awarded in 2005. That being said, is like I can't believe somebody else didn't come back, pluck you for a radio show somewhere else.
I put some stuff out there online. I don't think there's that much money in regular radio anymore. I don't know. You know what? I use a part-time job on radio. I don't care. I would, it could be very entertaining, 3 days a week, whatever. I would love it. I would love it. Just like something to do each week, like a job. I don't have a job now. I'm looking for gigs. And, I can't go to the grocery store and get a job like stocking shelves at my age. And, it's an ego thing too, but it's also like, got to do something. I do stuff like that, radio, entertaining. I did a one-man show once, and it was pretty good. I think it was real good for a first time, but it could be a lot better. But I never kept working on it. The guy I was working with, disappeared, and it was really funny. I had a projector with like 80 stills. Every time I'm talking about a story, he put up another still, connecting it to my story. And it was really entertaining. Jesse Malin was there. It was his club. And I agree with everything he said. Everyone said the first hour was like unbelievably great. And then the second hour wasn't. And that's because I lost it. I lost the focus. I just started letting it fly, everything go. First hour had a really good outline and really well told. And then the little snippets in between was the loose stuff. Second hour was too loose. That's what happened. But that's another thing I'd like to do. There's three things I'd like to do before I get out of here. Get back on a successful podcast or YouTube or what. I don't even know how it works. How do you get on YouTube? You know what I do? I sit in front of my desk and I prop up my camera, my iPhone, and I tell a story. That was my show. And then sometimes I bought this like arm that you can put your camera on and it stretches like 6 feet. And I would do a cooking show. No, I call myself the chef of the future, and it's from a Honeymooners episode where Norton and Jackie Gleason invent this thing, and they go on TV. They go, "This is the chef for the future." Gleason gets so camera struck he can't talk. Like he can't sell it. Anyway, I love the name Chef for the Future.
Absolutely.
So that's what I did. But I don't see. I need an extra camera. I need someone shooting it. Blah blah blah. Anyway.
Yeah, very good.
I would just had when you look back, I know you talked about the Dictators maybe not making it as far as you had hoped, but if you look back at your career, I mean, you guys were godfathers of punk rock. You were very influential to young people coming up and listening to punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
Do you reflect back on that and think about those early days?
Oh yeah. Oh, those stories are amazing stories. I've had an amazing life. I never like to think what I didn't do. I like to think what I did.
Yeah.
I didn't play Madison Square Garden. I didn't sell 1 million records. I didn't do this. But what I did is probably, and I'm just throwing a number out there, probably more people would like to have accomplished that and done that. I would say a vast majority of people that ever got in a band. I'm talking about everybody in every band, everywhere. I'd say at least 90% wish they would have got that far and had those experiences. And see, I wish I would have got further, but it's okay because I appreciate that people still come up to me in the street and say, "Hey, Handsome Dick Manitoba," once in a while. That's great. That's great. My son calls me up the other day from Okinawa, Japan, and he goes, some guy saw my name, Manitoba. He goes, "Is your father Handsome Dick Man in the fucking Marines?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah." And then my son's working out at the gym, and he goes, "Oh, I was listening to 2 songs." He goes, "Dad," I go, "Which 2?" He goes, "Baby Let's Twist" and "Faster and Louder." Pretty funny because he's a hip hop kid, not a rock kid.
Well, Dick, we're out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that we left off tonight that you would like to plug or promote?
All I can say is soon I'll get together Handsome Dick Manitoba podcast. It'll be called Handsome Dick Manitoba. I Am Right. And and maybe something on YouTube as well. I would like to get a book out there. I'd like to do some solo. But keep your eyes out. If we play live, I'm coming to you with a band. Costs a shitload of money to get the band there. And the band is exciting, loud, fun, and you will have a great time. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. And that's it. And thanks for, thanks for thinking about me, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
thanks.
this is how things are going to work out. Once Jeff, the editing wizard over here, gets it all cleaned up, we'll sound like $1 million, and I'll send you the link, and please share it on all your social medias. We're going to share it on ours, and it's been an honor having you on the podcast tonight.
Hey, thank you, fellas. I appreciate you remembering the old man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, fellas.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
I'll be in touch, man.
Stay in touch.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Everybody hides at home inside their nest of snakes. Everybody grinds the stone and makes their own mistakes. Hide in the headlights, fight the grip of fear. You can make your dreams come true, but you just can't do it here. Hey! Everybody eyes the gun and screams inside their head. Everybody bites their tongue and pays their bills instead. Hide in the spotlights, fight the grip of death. You can have the air you need, but you best not take one breath. Hey! Roll the dice. Take your chances. Everybody knows the game is fixed, there is no prize. Everybody pulls the plug and says their last goodbyes. Move to the sunshine, fight the grip of nights. If they ever take from you, then you plug out